We have a 2006 Saab Aero 93, and we're going to do the spark plugs. This is the V6 2.8, and they're not as easy as the 2.0. So first you have to remove the cover, take out the oil, then it snaps right off. And the three first ones, 1, 2, 3, are a piece of cake, but the other three are in the back of the engine, somewhere in here. And obviously we have to disassemble all this wire harness and remove them. Maybe on the right side looks easier. So they're down there somewhere. So we have to remove this harness, another one underneath, and I record as I go along. Okay, removing the lock on the upper harness, you just press down this little here where my thing is, and move it upwards, and that will unlock it, like so. I'm trying to record with one hand and remove from the other. Okay, here it is. Just press back here, press down, and it unlocks. You see it? And then comes right off. Here it comes. That's one of them. Be careful, this is very sensitive. There's the other one right here. So then we have some vacuum hoses, and be careful, they're very easy to break. So let's take this one out, and one plug at a time, we're going to get down to the bottom. Okay, both of the huge plugs in here are out. There is this unit here that harness attaches to it. I'm taking this out. It's 4 bolts of 10 millimeter. There are some wires, like ground wires, connected to it. I'm not removing those. So I can see one coil very easy, but the next one over there seems like still will give me a hard time coming out. And for sure, the last one in the back is covered with all these vacuum hoses and stuff. So it's a pain to take these spark plugs out. Okay, now I'm going to remove this bracket that this unit is tied on, because I cannot get the second spark plug down there. So it's 10 millimeter here, one here 2, and one on the bottom 3. And you remove this little plate. Hopefully we'll get access to the second one, and then we'll work about the third one. Okay, while working, removing things around here, I did not want to remove from this unit this wire here and one on the other side by moving it back and forth to access things. I think this wire here is very thin and might break. So you can see now the first coil, and we can see the second coil of the engine. So we cannot see the third one. So we can see the number 1 here. This one here I can probably take out, but whatever is back down there is what we're trying to get. A lot of vacuum hoses here. Be very careful, and good idea to take some pictures or mark them down so will be easily found and not be missed. Sometimes you miss one of these hoses, then you have a vacuum leak and check engine light and everything else. So I'm going to go on the other side and start removing the necessary items. So I go into the unknown step by step, so I try to make it easier for somebody else. What I see here is a plug and 10 millimeter bolts to a bracket to hold something up. The right side harness is out, but something is holding down here, probably another plug. So we go from the top to the bottom. So by pressing this clip, one plug is out, and I can see something's moving here, so this is another plug, but I think this bracket has to remove to make it easier. Well, I can unplug it like this, but still the bracket has to come out to access the part. So we're going to remove these 10 millimeter bolts and try to remove this part. Removing the left side items needed. This here it was plugged on the top before I started moving things, and I removed the attached wire, and that's what comes out. I don't know what it is, but it's a sensor of some kind. So now I remove the 10mm here, and something is coming out. I believe it's the plastic that holding the harness itself. Now underneath looks like, well, there's pieces out. That's good. Another item up there. Now I think I have to remove this bracket here that is there to hold or support the another harness of wires, and one back down here. So I believe there's nothing else. So if I remove this bracket, I believe I have access to the rest of the coils, and maybe I don't have to remove any of the vacuum link connections. So this one here was removed once before. Maybe they didn't put it all the way in because I got a check engine light, so be careful with this one. All right, so 10mm bolts, and let's go for this bracket and remove this harness here as well. Okay, the two bolts are out from this bracket, and now I'm able to move it and looking to see what's attached to it. So there is definitely a harness here and a harness back here. So I think if I remove this harness here, one of the two, this section here, it will be able to move it and access the spark plug. So let's disconnect right here. Okay, trying to remove this wire harness, and how do they unclip before we start pulling things. To me, is every time a new plug, it's a new thing to try again and again. So examine it first all around, and you figure it out. Okay, this plug here, it belongs to this harness over there, and that was the right side items removal. To make it easier, we unplug it, and to unplug this thing is just by pulling back here and in and out. It will come right off. So now we have the freedom to work on the third spark plug. You can push this back, and I am sure you'll be able to see it. Okay, it's down there, and it looks like I can access by, maybe I have to move this vacuum plastic, hard plastic though. These things break very easily. I think I will need it because the coil has to be pulled back and I won't be able to pull all the way out. And on the second coil, so far, I believe also, maybe the coil will come out, but the bolt is under there. It'll be not easy to access the bolt. You can get it out, but it should be an easier way. So I believe this thing and the other side too, some kind of vacuum hoses here, and they look very important, but they can also break very easily. So, okay, I'm going to try to figure this out, how to remove this. I'll be okay to start moving the plugs out. Okay, working on still the items to be removed on the left side to reach cylinder number 5. I saw a 10mm bolt right here in the center. I'm going to remove this before I'm going to try to unplug the hoses from anywhere into the engine. So I can hold them together, and maybe I just move them to the side without disconnect them. I don't think they're supposed to be disconnected. So there's the bolt, and see if there's anything holding them at this point, or maybe they pop out from the engine. Oh, they just come right out. You see it? I just push them out. I'll pull them out. Now, you know, here they have some kind of O-rings. You can see this here. Just make sure they are not broken, because they have to have a good seal. And if you want to replace them, I'm sure this is very important hoses for the vacuuming system. So we just pull these guys out and continue on the quest for the spark plug. And I believe right now, by moving things around a little bit, I can jiggle it around and I can access the coil, which is right here, number 5, and the other coils are easy to access. So I'm going to start removing at this point the coil and the spark plug. So carefully move some vacuum hoses on the side, and I'm taking out the 10mm bolt for the coil, and then I'm going to try to get the coil out. See how all the vacuum hoses and harnesses are moving, if they are loose. So right now I can get my tools through and, you know, work around with my fingers a little bit. There's the bolt, and hopefully we can take out the coil. Try to remove the coil now. Jiggle it a little bit, you can get stuck back there. I need my hands at this point to grab it with both hands and pull straight out. I'll record in a minute. Okay, by using both of my hands, I'll pull the coil. It's already coming out. So let's see if we can remove it now by navigate through the vacuum hoses without have to. Yeah, it looks like it's going to come, but okay, remove the coil harness connector, and there comes number 5 cylinder coil, which means we were able to access with the coil system with whatever we did. Okay, we're removing the rear spark plug. Coil is out. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but if you do it once, it's easy to do it again. And there is number 5 spark plug. Check it out to see what it looks like. But this is number 5 cylinder, the most difficult one. It's on the left side, and on the right side of the engine. I'm able to access, you can see, very easy now, the coil, and the other one is right here. So that's all it took to removing this bracket, the harness first, the bracket second, this metal base here, the wire harness, and some disconnections right here in the center. Don't try to get these guys out. It's a bracket right here with a screw, goes right in here, and it goes, it attaches very easily, and everything else is easy to take. So don't try to unplug anything of these guys, you'll break it. Okay, on the Saab 9.3, all spark plugs and coils are out. That's what it looks like before the coils go in. And this is the whole picture of the engine without all these wires and harnesses and everything else. But it's not a difficult job. It takes patience and step by step in, step by step out. At this point I have easy access to everything. Everything is loose, not forced out. And same way I go back in and make sure you get all the vacuum hoses correct and tight. Of course, after you're doing the rears, the fronts are a piece of cake. Anybody can do that. I wish the rear was so easy, but we're not doing very often. Good NJ case can last you, 60,000 miles. So I'm going to take one plug of the harness here for some people not maybe familiar with it. So I can do here at the front, and this is the plug as you see it. All you have to do is either push your finger a little bit and opens, or you can put a screwdriver right in the edge in here and gently, push it back. Okay, that's how it comes out. And once you unplug it, it comes right off, like so. Okay, I hope that helps you out.